What's up, everybody? My name is Dreaming Tabitha. So glad that you're here today. We are going to attempt a challenge. And that challenge is going to be coloring an image using only the color purple. By the way, I'm not jumping on the bandwagon as so many other artists have done. No, by no means am I following the trend. I don't do trends, okay? I'm just going to attempt a widely popular activity that many other YouTubers have done. There is a difference. First things first, I need my supplies in order to get my sketch together. So I'm just going to sit down and try to put it down on paper before we actually get the challenge started. And the first person that came to mind when I was going to start doing the challenge of only using purple would be the marvelous, the wonderful Madam Mim. So I get all my stuff together and I try to find all of the different purple colors that I have with my markers and my colored pencils. I even found a piece of fancy crayon and one square for watercolor. So I decided it would be best for me to swatch. I've seen a lot of other YouTubers do this, and it makes complete sense because this way you have a better understanding of what color is going to look like, especially if you're using Spectrum Noir markers. No hate, but they totally suck at representing the colors that are actually in the ink versus what kind of color they put on the toppers. Do better, guys, because you don't have it together. I had one chameleon marker as well, but I didn't have any other purples to blend it with, so it's pretty much just like a normal marker, which is more of like a rosy purplish color, and that just seemed to work okay. Now, I did notice with this coloring pencil that it does kind of have more red to it, but when I look at it closer, it does have hints of purple in it, and apparently I see colors a little bit more vibrantly than most people. That's what I was told by one of my college teachers. So we're going to use it because that's what I see. I quickly use up some of the crayon to get an idea of what it feels like and looks like. And then I dive into my chalks. Now these aren't like your regular kindergarten chalks. They are a little bit more difficult to use. I had to apply quite a bit of pressure to get them out onto the paper, but they were beautiful colors. Then I get the rest of my coloring pencils taken care of, and there was another color in here where I was like, is anybody going to hate me for this? Because it does say violet blue clearly on the label, so violet is in there. Violet's a type of purple. We're going for it. Then I splash on my one piece of watercolor color, and then I just decide, okay, let's get started. I'm quickly going to erase the lines on here so they're minimal, just leaving a trace behind so I know where each character is going to be. And a thought occurred to me, hey, why don't I try to use a different medium for each character? Yeah, that'd be so cool. I'll use markers for the fancy Madam Mim, and then I was going to mix things up and use the coloring pencils for the regular Madam Mim. And then I decided I'm going to use chalk for the cat version. Yeah, how cool was that? Yeah, I decided to take a challenge and make it even more challenging. Like, why would I do that? Why? Because I'm Tabitha and that's what I do. Not even thinking it all the way through and realizing the fact that I don't actually have enough variety for each medium. Like I said, I have one square of purple for my watercolor, and I only have a few coloring pencils with purple, and I don't have a lot of chalk necessarily that's really pretty to use for purple. So what was I thinking? I really wasn't. I just thought it was a cool idea. We'll do the best that we can. Markers are pretty easy for me to use. I use them quite a bit. You'll see them in a lot of my chibi drawings especially, and I really enjoy being able to blend those colors. I've really started to get the hang of using alcohol markers. I'm not a professional at it for sure, but I really enjoy the blending process there. So Madame Mim, the fancier Madame Mim, she was fun and pretty easy to do. I had a pretty wide variety of purples to choose from, so she was pretty simple. I didn't think that the coloring pencils would be as difficult. Again, not realizing that I didn't have as many. I thought that I had enough and it would be fine, but that was the other thing too. That Madame Mim isn't actually all purple. You'll notice that with Fancy Madame Mim, her dress is two different kinds of purple, the bottom portion actually being more on the red side, and her leggings were pink. So I'm thankful again for the fact that I had other markers that could help me with this, but I was starting to struggle when it came to regular Mim. I just kind of had to make things extra dark in order to separate her hair from her top, and then especially her skin from her hair. I actually had to, well, you'll see in just a little bit, but I had to use the same purple for her hair, for her face. I just had to do it much lighter, which was really frustrating. This was definitely a challenge. The good thing is that I realized I had extra chalk somewhere hidden in my drawer. So I decided to quickly swatch those as well to see what I would get. And they're a much softer chalk than the other bricks that I have at the top there. And this was the most difficult part of this creation here. What in the world was I thinking, trying to make this extra difficult for myself? I just try to imagine what exactly this picture would have looked like had I just stuck with coloring pencils and markers. But where's the fun in that? Okay, where's the fun in that? All the other YouTubers just only using purple markers, just only using green coloring pencils. Ugh, please. As if that's even a challenge. Try using chalk when you only have a limited amount. And the chalk was really difficult to use, so I decided to scrape off some, trying to be a little bit inventive here, add a little bit of water, and it kind of created this paste. I was trying to recreate like watercolor essentially. Now at this point in the video, I would like to encourage you to hit that like button. What's stopping you from doing that? You've watched this far, obviously you're enjoying it, so go ahead, like. The texture was just really thick and chunky and not even whatsoever. I mean, this looked horrendous. It definitely looked like a little monster. No, it looks like some kind of 80s rock star on drugs. I didn't like it at all. My least favorite thing about this picture. But hey, you know, it's a challenge. You try to work with what you have. Then I realized that Madame Mim was just kind of floating in the air, so I put a rock underneath of her, put some shadowing under the rest of the characters, and then it was time to move on to my one piece of watercolor. I wanted to use all the mediums that I had. So with this last little square, I thought, what am I going to do with it? And so this is another portion of the painting that didn't quite go according to plan, but I wanted to incorporate one of the more iconic creatures that she transforms into in the movie when she's having her duel, if you will, with Merlin, and that was supposed to be the dragon. So I tried to get some wings on here, and watercolor's great just because of the fact that you can layer it and it changes the opacity level, but I'm not well versed with watercolor at all. I just kind of winged it, no pun intended, and well, then presented one last little challenge. Kind of cheating, but you can't make green with purple. And Madame Mim has green eyes. What's a girl supposed to do? Okay. But every other aspect of this painting was done with a variety of purples, okay? I don't care how much you see red and pink and everything like that. It's purple, okay? It's purple. Says so on the label. But this was a fun challenge. I'm glad that I pushed myself to try this, and I'm actually pretty happy with the outcome. And here we have it, our final product. It's not exactly how I thought it would turn out, but overall, I'm really happy with it. I thought Madame Mim would be the perfect choice to do everything in purple, purplish. We'll go with that. But thank you so much for stopping by. Please be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that and ring the bell so you get notified of all of my upcoming videos. There might be some more challenges in the future because I only do challenges. I don't do trends.